What up, world? It's your boy, Andre X. I'm here with my guy, Night.Wave, the guy behind the wall. Yanti's in the building. And our special guest for here for the Where Are We podcast, we have Brady.
Hey.
Y'all know Brady from Surefire Studios. You know Brady from Lisa Left Eye. You know Brady from Millyz. You know Brady from everybody in between those two. You know Brady from fucking commercials. You know Brady at soccer games. What else you fucking do? You save dogs from being eaten?
Lacrosse coach too. Let's go. Come
Lacrosse
on.
coach.
I coached basketball too,
You
but
used
that
to
was only
strip.
2 seasons.
Wires.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because you were a stripper.
Yeah. A good one.
Yeah. So anyways, you know how the first 5 minutes of the show goes? We sit down, we tell our girlfriends to shut the hell up and watch the show with us, and we roll up these blunts. All right? So let's do that for the first 5 minutes while I talk about drugs and shit with my boy Brady.
Let's go.
Go. So Brady, let's
where we
talk
going?
about it, man. I'm a studio rat. You're a studio rat.
Yep.
Let's talk about it, man. How much is weed or like a vice part of your culture in studio?
It's a huge part.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny. So, you know, I had the Surefire Studios for 20 years in Lowell, and we were constantly getting in trouble for smoking in there. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I've been there.
But it just didn't really ventilate well, and I never really invested in anything to clean it up. But so it's a huge issue because we used to get in trouble for it all the time, and I'd have clients come by and they'd ask, you know. And then there were some times where I just didn't give a shit. Like we had Rick Ross there, and this is one of the times we weren't supposed to be smoking. Ross,
That's a good time not to give
Yo,
a shit.
Ross comes in, he starts smoking. I don't give a shit. Go do whatever you want, Ross. I mean, I was young.
Is this I'm sorry, is this knowledge?
Yeah, this is the knowledge.
shout
This
out
is the
Knowledge.
knowledge joint.
Shout out
Yes.
Knowledge. This
Yeah,
is Rick Ross.
important knowledge. They kicked everybody out of the studio except me that night. Ross was mad funny about it. Yo, he kicked it because he had to write the verse, right? So first thing, he wouldn't even step in until he got paid.
Money, yeah.
Until
I
he
heard
got
that
paid, he was sitting out in his whip forever. And what happened was I was working with Mass Spike Miles at the time.
Oh, shout out Mass Pike, man.
Yeah, so what happened was I was really cool with Mass Spike, and he was basically like, yo, Ross, if you're doing a feature and it's a Lawrence artist, you just got to come to my studio. And so he came out with us. He kicked everybody out of the studio except me. We had a little booth at that time. This one, the studio was a little different, but he was sitting in the booth. He just smoked. He wrote, and I will say he was super impressive in the studio because, he wrote for, whatever, half an hour or some shit like that. But what happens is he goes, yo, turn on the mic. He literally goes up, does his little, and then he's like, all right, I'm good to go. Fucking spits the verse. One takes it, does his ad-libs. I go out, and so Miles then comes in right after he records. So Miles knows, like, what I can do in the studio. So he's like, yo, go crazy. Like, I had a bunch of drops and shit. And so I started going crazy. Like, I was doing every trick that I fucking knew, right? So Ross is like, oh, you nice at this shit, huh? Yo, and I'm thinking to myself, yo, he's going to sign me. He's like, yo, this is the moment, bro. I'm moving to Atlanta. Life is going to change. You know what I mean? And he's like, word, yo, that was awesome.
Right.
You're really dope. And then it was like, nice to
Peace,
meet you.
nigga.
Yeah, and and he just left. Just walked out of the studio and it left a bunch of Wendy's trash in my parking lot.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool, man. Like the thought of how much did he get paid? Do you know about? Because I heard the number was like 15.
Yes, yeah. So I know. I see it. So I remember
15,000, not
yes,
1,500.
Yeah, 15 grand. And I remember what the thing was. I think they had the original 10, and they didn't have the last 5, and that's why he wouldn't come out because he was like, "Yo, I need the rest of that bread." It was funny, and when he came out, he was not like flashy at all. I remember. I'll never forget it. He was in a white tee, like clean white tee, and like fucking Adidas, fucking. Pants. You know what I mean? In terms of like running pants.
Comfortable shit,
Yeah, well, yeah. In terms of like he was not gonna wear no fucking, $100,000 watch, and what I mean? He didn't.
You paid me 15,000 to come. You didn't. I'm not coming to perform.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
But that's ill. Can you imagine if he got
Yeah.
16,000? That's 1,000.
Yeah.
That's 1,000 a line.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine that shit, Brady?
Yo, well, so I've been doing this for a while, and I've seen like the money change crazy. Like it used to be like, yo, if you made a beat for something, you would get paid like fucking 15 grand for it. Like, yo, so when we first came up, right, one of the first things we did, like we started as a music company first. Like we were all producers, right? It was 5 of us.
5 of you, yep.
And the idea was just like all music producers, and you know how it goes, like we just everyone doing their own thing, but collaborating at the same point.
Community Tuesdays, bro. I know.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, what happened was we started working with Marcus Siskind, and he had a studio called Blue Jay in Carlisle. Blue Jay's not around anymore, but it was a really dope studio because what it was it was built underground.
I'm lost. Where the fuck is Carlisle?
You don't know? Oh, it's next to Concord. You know where the Concord like prison is?
I've seen it.
All right, well, it's so Concord and Carlisle, they share a high school. It's like it's like probably half an hour from Lawrence.
How many black people live in there?
0.
Okay.
0.
It can't be half an hour. 45 minutes is when you
Oh no!
stop seeing,
All right,
like,
yo. So
you
maybe,
stop seeing
all right.
Spanish people,
So
black
maybe
people.
I'm off. Maybe like an hour.
It's
So
next to
yeah.
Littleton. Next to Littleton, right?
Yeah, it's next to
Littleton?
Yeah, it's next to
Oh.
Littleton. and
Oh,
shit.
next to Littleton?
Yeah, but
I've
it's
never been there either.
but it's in the woods. It's like it's way out there. But
White
anyways,
people.
Yo, so long, whatever. Anyways, well, regardless.
Woods people.
Yo, wood.
Yeah, calm down.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yo,
man.
hey, no. Anyways, so we had so it was a studio called Blue Jay. It was built into a fucking hill, and so Marcus owned
that's
it.
fire.
It was crazy, Boston recorded their first album there. Boston, the more than the feeling song. That whole like the self-titled that album was done there. Amy Grant did an album there. It was a really dope studio. Like Lauryn Hill was recorded there when we were working there. Shaq recorded there and shit like that.
Amy Grant is Horace Grant's sister?
No, Amy Grant is like the white Christian chick singer from Canada. I don't know if she's
Yeah,
from Canada.
of course I know her.
Drake.
Oh, you don't?
Jesus.
Well, go ahead and name drop her.
No.
some more
No.
names, you
White,
know.
so white people would know who Amy Grant is. I'll tell you that right now. All the white people,
all my
when I
white
said
fans.
Amy Grant, they
That
were like,
makes sense.
yep. That was
For
like,
all the white fans that
yeah.
watch our
It's
show.
like-
Was she related to Uncle Cracker or what was his name?
Uncle
Uncle Grammar? I don't know.
I'm not too sure.
Grammar?
Who?
I don't know.
Kelsey Grammer?
Yo, well, I'm a little older than you guys, but this is like when I was like 10, she had hit records type of thing. But it was like pop rock, soft rock.
Okay.
Like soft rock shit.
Yeah,
But
rock?
anyways. So
I digress.
So I digress. So he owned the studio with Kevin from the Backstreet Boys. You know the
Bye.
yeah. But you know the one that kind of looked the most like I hate saying this, but he had like the nose like a little radish.
Jewish.
Yeah, Kevin's
No, not you.
Kevin was the ugly one. Wait, is that Backstreet Boys? The ugly one. The ugly kid.
Yeah.
No, every group had the gangster one in it. He was the gangster one.
Yo,
He
so-
sagged his pants. And
So
shit.
what was Lance Bass?
He was not gay then.
Oh.
He was just touching.
Hold on, but isn't Lance
He was
in sync?
touching.
Lance
his
was
dick. He wasn't
definitely
sucking.
gay. Lance was in NSYNC, not in the Backstreet
Yeah,
Boys.
since then.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah.
My bad. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'll tell another story about when I got hypnotized and they made me believe that I was part of the NSYNC. Part of NSYNC. Did I ever tell you that
No
shit?
way.
Nah, let's hear this after that.
All right, all right. No, fuck it. Let's go into that
let's go
story.
ahead.
We can
Yeah,
get back.
yeah.
All right, so let's.
Exclusive.
All right. Yeah,
Exclusivo.
we'll break this up. So, all right. So, anyone been hypnotized? You ever been hypnotized?
My pussy.
Nah.
No, but you believe that like people can do that hypnotized shit where they're like,
I don't believe it because I haven't actually physically seen it
Yeah.
or know someone that's been hypnotized.
Yep.
But if you're telling me you've done it, I have to believe
bro.
you, bro.
So I went to he was called an R-rated hypnotist.
Man.
And this dude got me, right? And I'll tell you, I do believe that if you smoke weed or have done any hallucinogens in your life, you're
Allegedly.
allegedly, you are more apt to be able to be hypnotized or whatever. But either way, so yeah, bro. And they know right off that
We're
when
all
they
fucked.
get when the hypnotist knows he has you, like he knows, and it's a fucking weird thing because you know what you're doing isn't like real, but you still kind of believe it in a way. So one of the things he did is he made me, going back to the NSYNC thing, he made me believe that I was the long lost member of NSYNC. So bro, and I'm not like, you know me, it's like, so I'm a behind the camera dude. Even doing this is awkward for me, but like I'm a behind the camera, I'm a, studio producer, like, just like, I don't even, like, I like to be behind the scenes. I don't like to be in front
you
of
record the
everything.
porn, you don't fuck.
Exactly. So anyway.
That's another story.
Anyways, so they make me believe that I am the lost member of NSYNC. So I go up there, I ask them to kill the lights, bro. Like the Laugh Factory in Boston, or whatever, right in Faneuil Hall, or whatever the fuck that thing's called. I asked them to kill the lights. I walk up there and I'm like, hey, turn the lights off, please. And then they play Bye Bye Bye. And what happens is I don't know the words, so I just keep doing the fucking, and then when I know a word, I would say it, and then I would do the dance. And I would just do the fucking Bye Bye Bye.
And you had
What
no
the
control
fuck?
over yourself?
Yo, it's weird because it's not real, and you'll only do something you truly are willing to do. Like, dude, he made me believe I was a stripper, and so they had the Yukon girls basketball team there, and he made me strip for the Yukon girls basketball team. But I was so like, I'm not a stripper, so I had a collared shirt on, so I just took the collared shirt off and my belt and like whipped it around and shit. And like, it was super awkward. And I remember like, after what happens is you're so confused after they snap you out of the shit, you're so confused because you kind of don't know what happens. And people walk up to you and they're like, yo, was that real? And you're kind of offended that they're talking to you. You're like, I don't know who the fuck you are. Like, get away from me.
Remember?
Because for the first hour, you're just kind of in a haze. Like, you're just like, just waiting for fucking it to all come back. And then it starts coming back to you a little bit. And it's weird as fuck, bro.
I don't want nobody fucking with my mind.
But
What was the whole point of that, though? First of all,
why did I go to the hypnotist?
Yeah.
So we went to an R-rated hypnotist. They do it in Boston, and they'll have it's hysterical. I tell
shits and
anyone to
gigs?
go. It's so fucking funny. What happened was I didn't really believe it either. My buddy was on a cruise, and he had a video of it, and he got hypnotized, and they made him run around the cruise saying the British were coming. Right, so he's running around. The British are coming, and he's like a funny dude. So I'm kind of thinking like, maybe he was kind of acting it up.
Just fucking around.
So when they were like, "Hey, I want to get on stage," I'm like, "Yeah, let's do this shit." You know what I mean? I get up there, and he got me, man. He got me. Like, one of the first things he tells me to do, he's like, when I do this, you're gonna think like you just took the biggest hit of fucking weed or whatever. And he said that, and I fucking leaned back in my chair. My eyes went like this.
That's
It was
hilarious.
wild, bro. It's like
crazy.
I'm telling you, like, definitely go. I'm telling you, go see a hypnotist. Bring your boys. Have one of your boys get on stage, especially the one that smokes a lot of weed or some shit like that. And I promise you, as long as you don't fight it, type of shit, you're like, all right, I'll try this shit. Like,
you know what's fucking mind blowing, and maybe it might be the weed, but it's scaring the fuck out of me right now.
What's that?
Can you imagine that the people that invented religion were hypnotists, and they got everybody in one room, and once they said this one prayer, it's like hidden code to control your mind? Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whoa.
I wouldn't.
I think
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know.
Bro. Can you imagine if that's what it was though? Like, I'm just trying to think like
You think in religion, but you could think about
anything.
government.
It could be TV, bro. Can you imagine what's happening? If you could be hypnotized by a person like that, imagine the consistency of that happening every day. That's happening to him on stage, but imagine every day it's happening to the radio, to the TV, through church, through fucking school, whatever the fuck it is.
I bet you they've done it.
Yo.
I bet you they've done it. I bet what I mean? I bet you there's something we're not thinking
That's
about. And
wild.
they probably tested it out right around here.
It's just crazy, man.
Definitely.
They got Raytheon down the street. You better believe they're like, yo, let's go to Lawrence and try it out on them. Let's see if we can get these dudes to fight each other.
It's like when think about this when gentrification starts to happen, right? And I can see the benefits of gentrification happening, but I also see like the not noticing like that we're being pushed out.
I don't know about you, man, but I feel like I should definitely be hypnotized because he was saying that you end up in a haze, and I love haze.
That's true. He does like haze.
Yeah, I think I should get hypnotized to get some haze because it's hard to come by nowadays.
You should introduce yourself. Who are you?
Juan behind the wall.
That's two behind the wall.
I'm the guy behind the wall. He's
Juan behind the wall.
So
Google
yeah,
us.
sure.
When you say wall, it sounds like hole. I don't know why.
by far probably the best story I've ever heard in this podcast.
Yeah,
By far.
that was pretty
crazy.
good, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really
Yeah, the hypnotist shit was funny.
I'm really since we're on the topic of like controlling, how is being like a dad, a husband, and trying to control your time with all this shit, man, because you've been doing this
difficult.
you've been doing it hard for 20 years, like owning a business and get, you know what I mean? And that's just like that's the business part. You're sure you did a lot before that, right? And to find a wife and have kids and still be successful doing what you're doing in our eyes, right? In your eyes, I don't know how successful you think you are, but us, when we look at you, you're like the example of what we're looking to do with a studio engineer and now videography.
No, I
like,
appreciate
you know what I
that.
mean? So like you are a
Appreciate
great
it.
example, and I'm grateful to know you for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, how do you balance the time? How do you control your life in a way where you're not dead?
I don't. No, it is really hard to manage the time. Especially like, especially with what I was saying earlier. I coach my son's soccer team. Well, I'm an assistant coach on the soccer team, but I do the assistant coach on the soccer, which is year round basically, except summer, and then I do lacrosse as well. And then my daughter does gymnastics. She's on the Junior Olympics gymnastics team in Wilmington and shit like that.
Wow.
So it's like, I'm like today alone, I dropped my daughter off at gymnastics. My son didn't have any practices, but he had a practice yesterday. And but it is really hard. It is hard to manage, and it's weird. I find myself working like the double shift sometimes, where a lot of times at the house early in the morning, I'll try to do like some video editing, or maybe I'll go to the studio, do some mixes. Because at the end of the day, like what we do, especially around here, it's a night business. Like you don't get much day activity, especially except on the weekends. But for the day, you'll get every client once in a while. That'll be like a 10 a.m. to 2 or some shit like that. But the awkward thing for me is I got to get home by 2:45 to get my kids. Right, so that means I got to get out of the studio by 2. So I only have a window. And how many people are you going to get to the studio at 9 in the fucking morning? It's like not happening. So I will do like, I do voiceovers and shit like that. So I will do that type of shit. I'll try to knock that out. But what happens is I
stay productive.
Yeah, well, I get my kids out of school, then I coach practice or whatever. I drive my kids home, then I go to work at night, and I'll usually work a session from like 8 o'clock till whenever. Like last night in the studio, fucking 8 till 1:30 last night, and then I was there longer because I had to finish editing a video and shit like that. So that by the time I got home it was 3 in the morning. And you know how it is. Like I don't know about you guys, but when I get home at night, I can't just fucking lay down. Like I have to like give me a half an hour, and I gotta turn on the TV. I gotta roll up. Like I gotta go do something. Like I can't just go right into the bed, no matter how tired I am. And what's funny is I could sleep at I could have just fell asleep at the studio right then. I could have just fucking on the couch, just fucking knocked out, fell asleep. But when I get home, I have to go. Yeah, I get the routine, right? It's like you just gotta do your little shit and then watch Netflix and fall asleep to the same shit and never get through an episode. Yeah. Anyone else do that shit?
The same one.
Yeah,
I seen a little bit of this. Hold on, a little. All right, there it is.
I be watching episodes over like a whole. I'm like, no, but I'm like, wait, I seen this episode. Like,
100%.
But I've seen pieces of it. Like I've seen the beginning. I fell asleep and I seen the end. I'm like, and the whole middle is like a whole new thing. I'm like, oh shit.
My TV is on a 2-hour timer. It turn off by itself.
Yeah, my girl's been doing that to me though. She's been putting the timer on the TV. She's like, yo. Right. You don't turn the TV off and that shit, like, I wake up and that shit's on. I'm like, that's just annoying. So I'm gonna put the timer on. And sometimes I'm not even tired. I'm watching and it shuts off. And I'm like, fuck. And I feel obligated to go to sleep. So I'm just like,
I guess.
Yeah, we're doing this.
You know what I mean? So,
I guess.
But yeah, time is like, it's a hard thing to manage in this world of like, of like productivity. We want to be we want to be productive all day. We want to shoot videos. We want to coach. We want to, for me, it's like, the cool thing about what you said was like you managed to find time to be productive and be in the kids' lives by coaching, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Right? Because going to a game is cool, but sometimes you can't make it because you have something else to do. But if you committed your time already to like, I'm being a coach, people have to respect that job that you have. So like now you're like, okay, no one can touch this. I myself have done the same thing with my daughter when she was like 3 to like maybe I want to say 9. I would bring her every day with me to my job.
Yeah,
because my job is full of creatives and like music and dancing and stuff. And my daughter gravitated towards the dancing. And she's toured and does many shit. Like,
that's dope.
You know what I mean? And it's like I feel like because I chose to do like have that time with her at my job, and I'm grateful for my job for letting me bring my child to my job because she stayed productive. Like I didn't have to watch her.
Huge.
She went to a class and did her thing, but she was 5. She wasn't supposed to be there, but she
That's
became,
awesome.
because she went when she was 5. She became this star. She's becoming the star, And the same thing for your kid, Like I think the power of the parent feeding and fully supporting whatever a person wants to do, like your child or even your wife or whatever it is, it becomes a whole different thing, man. A whole different thing for that person. Because like, think about the support that we don't get, and or the support we get from people we don't know. It's so awkward to get that support because we don't actually get support from the people that actually love us sometimes. You being a dad supporting these kids like that, bro, I it's a big up to you, man.
No, I appreciate it.
That's a lot of time.
But I also feel like with kids, like to keep them out of trouble, you got to keep them busy.
Right.
You can't have
I understand
them,
that.
Like that whole idle hands is the devil's playground is so true. At least for me, because I know when I stopped playing sports is when I got in trouble. But when I was too busy to get in trouble, I couldn't get in trouble. I was too tired. I wasn't gonna go out to a party.
Right.
You know what I mean? College is when I got in all my trouble because I stopped playing sports. You know, I was like, fuck it. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
but,
your career.
yeah.
I feel like it's easier to manage with your kids and family, don't you think?
Yes, 100%.
Just because you own, you know what I mean?
well, you know
It's on your time, in a
your
sense.
terms, yeah.
So,
you know,
so I think every creative who tries to do this full time can relate to like the whole when you fall into that pit, you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna go get a 9 to 5, right? And every once in a while, you'll get that 9 to 5, and as you're doing the 9 to 5, you're like, yo, if I dedicated myself like I have to this 9 to 5, I would have been way further off.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And so I think we've all had moments like that. I know I've had moments and stuff like that. But, you know, the good thing about having a career like this is that you can take the time when you need it. But it sucks when you get fucking hurt or something like that. Because, like, I tore my Achilles, and I was out for a month at least. But, yo, I was in the studio the fucking next week. I'm having an Uber drive me to the studio. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, I should be, because I work for myself, I have to do this. Yeah. But I should be able to get some type of fucking, I should have got Aflac or some shit. Like, I don't know where I fucked up on that one, but I did.
I think that's the hard part for, like, people that, like, and, like, for me anyways, I have a kid, so, like, I need a secure job. Like, I would love to go work at a studio all day, but unfortunately, the kind of clients I was getting were like clients that were in the hype of doing rap at the moment. And then all of a sudden, you know, there was a big, like, there's a big push of like a lot of artists coming out of nowhere. Yeah. And that's what I was getting. And it was like, it wasn't consistent enough. It'd be like here or there. And it wasn't enough money for me to support myself and my kid.
Yeah.
And I have an apartment. You
Bro,
know what I mean? Like, I can't.
It is so, and that's why I don't just do the audio stuff. You know, I've tried, you know, and I've definitely tried to get more into the mixing. I will say that I like the client engineer, like, interaction. Like, I like when my clients are there. Like, I like when we work together, because I'm very open in terms of, like, if you don't like something, I want you there right away just to tell me not to do that. Because sometimes creatively, I'm just going to start doing my own thing. Yeah. You know, because I think this should sound good or it should go this way. Yeah, exactly. Else, you know what I mean? Sure. You know, and that's the tough thing about mixing too. At some point, is like you got to remember, like this is someone else's song, so you have to appreciate what they're saying. Like, if they don't like something you do, don't take offense of it. Just fucking fix it.
The client's always right.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, in a sense.
Sometimes, yeah.
The thing is,
the thing is, this world of engineering, and we'll move on after this, but the world of engineering is like, the engineer should have a lot more open opinion, a lot more open say to whatever you're doing, and a lot more open for creativity. Because in the end of the day, the engineer is trying to make you sound and have a feeling that you can't do without the fucking engineer.
100%.
Right? And for me...
No, I was gonna say, but sometimes an artist has to coach that engineer a little bit. Like,
yes,
so
I understand that.
I'll give you one example. So, fucking, you ever heard of the artist John Hope from Providence?
Really, sounds very familiar.
He's a really dope artist from Providence, doing like some really dope shit. Really talented kid. But I've worked with that kid forever, right? But when I first started working with him, he was the first kid who I couldn't just use like a template for, if you know what I mean. Like, everyone else before that, like, if they wanted a delay, it was like, sweet, like, slap a telephone effect on that shit, put some delay on it, they love it, you know. And everyone used to be like, oh, it sounds great. Yeah. I do it to this motherfucker. He's like, nope, hate it. You know, he's like, yo, get rid of all those effects. He's like, I want them dry. And I'm like, shit. Okay. And that was like the first time for me where I didn't have to, like, I wasn't just slapping effects on and people were just like, sounds great. He was the first one to kind of like test me in a sense of like, nah, that's not what I want. And that really made me realize, like, just because I think it sounds good doesn't mean that's what the art is, like what he's trying to tell in his art. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then it made me learn a lot about just getting a really good sound to seem simple, like to seem like it's dry and but even though it has like a lot going on to it, like a lot of EQ, compression, DS, and like all the fucking random shit, but you know, making it seem like it's just naturally coming out. So then when you're listening to it, like, it's got like kind of like that beginning Kanye feel, if you know what I mean, where it's like, it's just good art, you know, good rhyming and shit like that. Which it's funny. Like, I've been doing this shit for so long. I've seen the trends change so much where you know, where people fucking hated autotune, then they fucking love it. You know what I mean? And then like, hey, you can't live without it now. Like it legit is like,
part of it.
bro, it is unreal. Like just when I see how much music's changed and shit like that, and like, it's just unreal. Like we can cheat so much. That's why hence like why there's like, in my opinion, not to say R&B is dead. I'm not saying that, but in terms of R&B push to the mainstream, it's not happening anymore. Like there's not, besides like there are a couple good ones, but a lot of times they kind of fall into the mainstream pop vibe. You know what I mean? But in terms of like R&B acts like that we used to get that pushed our way, I don't feel like there's not really like an R&B act.
Nothing.
You know what I mean?
It's
like,
right now that he's giving you a gem. It's an open lane, right? Do something so R&B that it's gonna bring R&B back. You know what I mean? It's the time for that right now. It's time to love again. You know what I mean? So
well, there are because you know what's gonna happen. Well, because you know what's gonna happen is all the comments people are gonna start saying, "Yo, I'm fucking ill at R&B," you know. But and there are because like so I will say it. So I work with this one dude, Jai Sean, right? Fucking unreal. Check him out. I mixed a couple records for him recently. Really dope singer. But I work with this singer. His name's David Corey. He did pretty well on America's Got Talent, right? And I linked up with him probably like fucking 8 years ago when we started working together. And he was out in Vegas for a little bit, but bounces all over. But he did pretty well for himself. But I recently talked to him and he was like, yo, man, I'm just going to kind of like, I'm putting out this project right now, you know what I mean? But like, he's like, you know, I kind of like, my life perspective has changed a little bit. He's like, I'm not like, he's like, yo, I used to live in Vegas, you know what I mean? He's like, now I live in Charlotte, you know, or like, you know, that area, you know? He's like, yo, it's a lot more calm. And he's like, you know, he's starting a family and shit like that. So it's just funny. You see how people, but I also think part of the reason he's doing that is because he's seeing like, yo, our R&B isn't as, you know, it's not appreciated like it used to be. You know what I mean? Because we can fake it so fucking well. Yeah, you know, we got auto-tune rigs. Like this shit is wild. People, when they perform, you're like, yo, what key is the song? A minor. And then you're never off key. That is wild. Like,
no, I've heard some people off key.
Well,
still on auto-tune. Like, you can still be off key.
Yeah, true. But
that's crazy.
You know, as long as you're, you know, remotely close. But yeah.
Those 5 of you when you started that studio, what's having so many like partners like and I know you had recently lost a partner.
Yep. The homie
who passed away. But what's that like? Like us right now, like we're a team trying to understand how this actually goes, you know. And there's 5 of us. Look, there's 5 of us. You know what I mean? And like. What's that work like? You learn a lot with the 5, and it's important that each person plays a role. Like so how Surefire all started was, so what happened was me and Jared, we were both transferring to UMass Lowell, right? Mm-hmm. And he was coming from Salem State, I was coming from UMass Amherst. And what happened was we were on the bus and I heard him talking to his dad behind me about like going into the music program or something like that. So I just like whip around. I'm like, yo, you do the music, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I'm trying to. So we ended up hitting it off. We ended up knowing similar people because I knew a couple people from Brockton. My father grew up in Brockton and everything. So what happened was, first day of school, they have no fucking housing. So I get this little studio apartment, 1985 Middlesex Street in Lowell, right next to the bridge and shit. I get this little studio basement apartment for like $600 a month. Because I couldn't get any housing at the college, right? So I see Jared the first day. He's like, yo, what's up? Like, good to see you again. He's like, yo, I have to go to Brockton, but I have to sit in traffic. Do you mind if I come over and just fucking chill? So he comes over. He sees like the whole production setup. I got my whole like, you know, beat making machine and shit like that. Yeah. And he's like, oh, word, you make beats? And he's like, that's what's up. He's like, so do I. And I'm like, oh, word. So he's like, let me show you some shit I did. So at this point, Jared had already been on like Jammin' 94.5 first song that he done and shit. Like my beats were super whack and like, so he plays the shit. He plays it. I'm like, yo, this shit is wild. So then we hit it off. He comes by the next day, and then after that, he's like, yo, you want to get an apartment together? We're like, yeah, let's get an apartment. So we go across the street, get a 2-bedroom fucking apartment, right? We put a studio in our fucking living room, right? We have 2 computers in there. We built a fucking booth, no AC in the booth, no ventilation, nothing. You came in that thing, you were just fucking dying. But we built a booth, and then we would charge kids like $25 an hour. And that's when we started Surefire Studios. And how the name Surefire started was, there was this kid, Mike Griffin, his rap name was Armadeus, right? And he's over, and he's like drinking a couple beers. And we're just talking about starting the studio, and this is when Jared and I just first started working together. And we were using Shure microphones at that point. And he's like, you guys use Shure microphones, you should call it Surefire Studios. And I was like,
I actually fucking like that. I was like, let's not, use the spelling. Let's change the spelling up. So that's how Surefire started. And then it was funny. So then what happens, we meet the other 3 guys, right? And so Jared was 100% the point person. Like Jared would get us so much work. It was unreal. Like all the work that we were getting when we were younger was because Jared was fucking hustling like nothing I've ever seen. And it was wild. Like it was to the point where like even my college graduation party, this motherfucker's late. And I didn't care because I knew what he was doing. Like I knew he was on the phone trying to fucking sell some beat or something. You know what I mean? Trying to make money for the company that we all own together. But it was wild. Like, and so, I started that when I was a sophomore in college, right? And so I remember, I'll never forget this. I go to my father and I tell him like, hey, like I started this business. I'm dropping out of school. Like I'm done. And he looks at me and he's like, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're dropping out of school. And I'm like, listen, like I'm dropping out. And he's like, so we had this conversation and my thing was, what I said to him is I go, listen, Bill Gates dropped out of college. And my dad looks at me and he's like, Bill Gates went to fucking Harvard. You're at UMass Lowell. Like, just fucking finish the school. And so I ended up finishing, like, college because my father was right. I should have finished it. But my degree is kind of pointless.
What you major in?
Marketing. Because what happened was, so we went in for the music program, right? And I snuck into the music program. I had to do singing, and I was not a singer. I was a fucking drummer, right? So I had to do singing, and like this is like a movable do system, like which is basically like they tell you like, all right, A minor is your do, so you have to sing do re mi off of A minor. So it's really fucking hard to do, right? Anyways, I got a fucking 3.5 right in all my grades, so they make you audition. So I what happened was I failed my audition because I went in there as a drummer and I was a terrible jazz drummer, and they put like sight reading and I just couldn't do it. So I failed the audition. Jared goes in, he fucking fails the classes, but he aces the audition because he was like a fucking amazing trombone player. So we both get back from our auditions, and I'm like, yo, how'd it go? And he's like, fucking killed it, man. And I was like, yeah, good for you, man. He's like, yeah, but I failed the fucking classes, so they won't let me in. And I'm like, oh, word. Well, I got all the classes in, but I failed the audition, so they kicked me out too. And then we're just like, then we just kind of mentally committed. We said, all right, now we're going to really go hard with the studio. We took out a $20,000 loan. We found the location, 100 Phoenix Ave, which was Surefire Studios for 20 years. It started off as just a fucking 1,500 square foot studios, 2 studios, and then we, like 10 years in, we changed it and add the video room and shit like that.
Yeah, that video room's dope too, man. You did a good job.
Yeah, man, that was a good experience, man. It was a crazy thing to be able to transition into that business, but I think everyone knows around here, like you can't just do one thing. Like you have to do multiple things. And my bad, I know I'm all over the place with my
you're
fucking
good,
story.
you're good, man. You
But
tell good stories.
Was that the moment when you were like, did we just become friends?
Oh, 100%.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
You were like, let's get an apartment. Did we just become friends? High five, let's go.
Dude, well, so Jared, right? So Jared was a magician, right? So at one point, Jared was, yo, this is fucking wild. At one point, Jared was Massachusetts' youngest professional magician, right? And he would fucking work at his dad told me that he worked at a fucking Chili's or like an Uno's or something, right? Or, one of those franchises.
Applebee's.
Right, one of those. And it was in Brockton, so they had like the fucking big chili sign, and it would say the fucking every Friday night, the magic of Jared Hancock. And he would come through and he would fucking do card tricks with the fucking people. Yeah, yo, so he made the mayor of Brockton disappear and shit.
He did?
Yo, yeah, bro, it's funniest. Yo, he was so ill at it. Like the first time I met him, he does some shit where he takes 2 aces, he puts a fucking ace of hearts in my hand. Then he puts an ace of spades under my foot. And of course, we're smoking and shit, and so we're drinking a couple beers, so I'm feeling it, you know what I mean? He does this shit where he's like, yo, and he switches it, right? So I saw him put the fucking ace of hearts in my hand. I saw him do this shit, and he's like, yo, I switched him. I look under it, it's fucking switched. It fucking blew my mind. He actually got one kid in the studio to run out of the studio because Jared did a magic trick that freaked the kid out, right? So what?
Did he make his cock disappear?
So no. So what happened, right? So this kid
Make his cock disappear. That's funny.
So this kid, right? It was still my boy to this day, this dude Eric. But so what happens is he comes over and he just gets spooked easily, I guess. So Jared does this magic trick where what happens is you pull out your own card and shit. Say it's the fucking, I don't know, the ace of spades or some shit like that, right? You pull out your own card and shit, and then what happens is Jared tries to find it, but he can't find it, and all of a sudden he gets fucking super frustrated, right? Gets so mad that he can't find this kid's card that he just throws it up against the fucking window, the booth window, right? Throws it against the booth window. The kid's card's tucked inside the booth window in the corner. like where Jared just threw the fucking cards. Like it like went
But
through the glass.
inside the booth?
Yo, inside the booth. Because this is what happens. The kid goes, nah, get out of here. Goes to pull it and realizes it's on the other side of the glass. Oh, hell no. Just runs out of the studio. Ran out of the studio.
That's
Yo,
pretty
it was
crazy.
so funny. Yo, Jared shit was so what happened in college to get money, like, you know, obviously we did the studio, but we were making $25 an hour. Like, we didn't have like a shit ton of clients. So Jared, because he was still that magician, he would get magic shows at elementary schools, right? And I would do the sound, right? So I would just sit there and fucking press play, and Jared would do his whole little magic show and shit. And then we would just fucking collect a check and go home.
Yeah.
It was a fucking funny experience, but he was unreal at it. The kid was like, I went to his house and he had all these like magic tricks that he fucking built that he had built throughout the years. And what it was is like, you know, not to give away anyone's secrets, but, you know, they use like these hidden floors a lot of times. And what it was is he would have his youngest sister, who was tiny, like little tiny girl, and he would stuff her in those little magic compartments and make her do all like the magic trick shit in there and stuff like that. And it's funny because his dad was a firefighter, and his dad would be like, he'd be like, let me look at that. I got to inspect this whole fucking thing first before you stick my baby girl in there.
That's crazy,
But,
man.
yeah.
That's dedication for a little kid to want to do that.
Yo, Jared, yeah.
I have a friend, I don't know if you know him, his name is SK.
Yeah.
He's also a magician. Yeah, man. He's
the fuck outta
yeah.
You know, SK one time made my pee-pee disappear.
Yeah, I seen it.
That's awesome.
Where was it? Where was it?
In his booty.
You see? It was
It's deep in there.
and I recorded it.
Oh, good.
When I was watching
He just sat right
when I was
on.
watching the Shannon Sharp show. Club Chase shit.
We were live on Instagram.
Let's move on. Talking about booty and dicks.
Booty and the Beast.
I just want to let
let's talk
everybody
about
know.
let's talk about your industry relationships. You know,
right.
there's a lot.
Cool. I am dying in here. It is hot as shit in here. You guys do this every Friday?
Yeah, I stopped sweating.
All summer. Oh man, I should have.
Nah, it's not hot.
I wanted to touch base on like the industry relationships and how you keep those, because egos come into play, and maybe these people that weren't famous, you recorded, now they're famous, and now like you still record them. Like, what's the change in that? And also, you know, like, how do you maintain the relationships too?
So yeah, I will say sometimes I'm not the best at maintaining the relationships. And it's really just because, like anything, we get busy, we get caught up in our own worlds and shit like that. And at the end of the day, like sometimes your career kind of takes you in different paths, you know what I mean? But, you know, someone, you know, I could really shout out is Millyz. You know, I worked with him for fucking ever. And that is the bro,
Shout out
man.
Millyz.
Yes, definitely shout out Millyz, because the one thing I really have a lot of respect for him is, I'm fucking dying right now. The one thing, I fucking should have brought a towel. But the one thing I got a lot of respect for him is that, you know, so he like, the fact is, if you really want to make it big in music, you can't just be in Boston. That doesn't mean you can't live in Boston, have a home in Boston or in that surrounding area. But the fact is, you have to be in one of the majors, New York and LA, a lot. Like, it's just how the business is. God, you guys know, like, we've all traveled to New York,
Right,
just for
together,
like,
yeah,
we do it all the fucking time. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of what it is. So let's go. But so my guy, this is amazing. Let's go. So, my guy, I'm one of those guys. I'm a sweater.
I could. You look like a sweater. I feel like I haven't even gave you one chicken wing in your fucking.
You're a sweater? Maybe I
Sweater.
can wear you this winter.
This stupid. Yeah.
Yo, so anyways. All right. So back to Millyz. So anyways, so the one thing I give a lot of credit to him that I really appreciate about him is that, so this dude, like, so he goes to New York and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, like, he can't keep coming back to Lowell to record. So he has to find engineers to work with and shit like that. But he hit me up randomly. He's like, yo, I'm going to Colombia. Do you want to come with me to Colombia to go to record? I'm like, fuck yeah. And he's like, he flew me out. It was just me, his boy SK, different SK. But me, him, and just fucking in a nice fucking beautiful house in fucking Medellin, bro. And it was fire. Like,
Colombia.
yeah, Colombia.
Yeah.
What did I say?
I'm sorry.
What did it?
In my head,
Columbus?
I heard Columbia Records. Like, you went to Columbia.
No.
to go record.
No. This dude took me to Colombia. So what
Fire,
Millyz
fire.
likes to do a lot is he likes to like rent out a fucking mansion and then work. Like he just likes to build one of the rooms into a studio. He'll fly out an engineer, and then he's just like, all right, just fucking go to work.
Okay, dope,
and so that's what he did with us. But what was really dope is he didn't have to fly me out. He flew me out because he just wanted to get me on the project. So previously to that, I had done every project for him, like, and basically the fucking entire thing, just about like all his Blanco projects, right?
Oh, nice.
And so what happened was, he was just like, yo, you're my bro. Like, I just want to make sure you're on the project. So then he had me come out and just record him, and we did a couple joints out in Colombia.
That's
which
nice,
was dope.
man. That's love,
Yeah,
man.
it was really dope. It
That's
was a really dope
man.
experience.
Yeah, I met Millyz a couple times. Very, very humble dude. Like he's and this is before fame. Like for me, when I met him, I thought he was famous already because when I met him was in A3C in Atlanta. They do like a festival every year.
Yep.
And I met him there, and he was by himself. But I was with Rex, I was with Archetype, I was with fucking Bakari, I was with a whole bunch of people from the Beantown Bullies. You know, there was like we were a group, and I saw him at the rap battle, and he was with all the battle rappers, and the demeanor, the look. I'm like, yo, this guy's gonna just looking at him, I can tell like, you know, like he has something. You know what I mean?
Yo, he's definitely committed. And the one thing, like, so people
He's
sometimes
dope too, man. He really is.
He's really dope. But the one thing, like, so when I see him, what I see in him different from a lot of other artists that I work with is so I did everything for him, right? But if, say, for example, he hit me up and he needed something done and whatever, like, he wouldn't just keep hitting me up. He would eventually just go to someone else. And what I mean by that is, like, he wouldn't let one person stop the whole process for him. Like, say he needed a video done and his regular videographer wasn't there. He's going to find another videographer. And that's what I appreciated about him, where, like, he wasn't going to stop for anyone. Like, if I, as an engineer, wasn't answering his phone calls, guess what? He's going to call John Scott. You know what I mean? He's going to call this
John
dude.
Scott.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? He's going to go to these other dudes to go work with him, which I think is dope. Like, you know what I mean? You can't work with the same fucking engineer the whole time. Like, we have lives, you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be times where you have a feature or something, you need to get paid, and this dude's gonna be away, and you got to learn how to work with someone else and still achieve a good product.
Right.
So that's one thing I can say about him. He never let any one small thing just fucking stop him. While other people, I see it all the time, where they'll just let, these small little speed bumps stop their whole operation, and then they'll use that as an excuse of why they never fucking did it.
Are you talking about me?
Hell no.
Yeah.
No.
Definitely.
No.
Definitely pointing at you.
Yeah.
Definitely pointing at you.
Asshole.
For making it so hot in here.
No. I feel that, and I say, are you talking about me? Because that's a very real thing. You know, like I am also a victim of that. That I victimize myself. I'm like, I can't put it out because of this guy, or I don't have a video yet, or if I want to put a song out, I can just put the fucking song out, no fucking problem, right?
100%.
So
Yeah.
But that's ill, man. That's ill that you keep. You keep a relationship like that with Millyz and knowledge.
So
those people like that. Remember, I seen you around people that I've known for years, and like the relationships you have with them, like it's like if you seen them yesterday, and I love that.
Yeah, which is really dope. You know what? Because I think a lot of us, like, we just got a lot of love for each other as creatives and shit. And I think at the end of the day, like, I think in the studio is when people are the most vulnerable. You know what I mean? So, like, I kind of always joke around, like, I feel like fucking Dr. Phil a lot of times in the studio, because there's times we just shoot the shit for a fucking hour, just tell me what's going on, like, and we'll have like fucking just conversation. Especially when I really vibe with a person, there can be times like, I'll make sure not to put a session after them, because I know, we're gonna shoot the shit for a fucking hour. Like, we're just gonna fucking end up, I know you and I have done that shit.
Yeah, for sure. Just chilled.
And so and I think that's the thing is, like, and especially with music, I feel like you have to create, a good relationship, like, in as much of a friendship as you can, in a sense, so that, like, you feel comfortable, because at the end of the day, sometimes you are really being vulnerable in the studio, whether you're talking about a topic or whether you're just trying something you've never done before. It's like, you want to feel fucking comfortable, like this dude's not gonna fucking judge you or fuck your sound.
That's
up
why I
or
like
some
to talk
shit.
to my barber. Like my barber and me, we always conversate, converse. About life all the time, and we get really deep into the conversations while he's giving me a haircut, because I gotta trust you with that fucking sharp thing around my face, my veins, So like I'd rather him be super comfortable with me, and me being at least not tense, or like just loose enough for him to move my head where he needs to, all that shit. Yeah. So all that shit, I don't like barbers that drink. Like, barbers that drink, like, if I watch you like do it, and I see you're a good barber, I might just but I don't want to watch you do it and then watch you take a drink again while I'm sitting there. Like, that's a lot.
So you know what's funny though? As an engineer, I won't drink.
Yeah, I don't
when
like. I won't
engineer.
either.
When every time I've ever drank during a session, I fucking hated the song after. Fucking hated it.
You put a plug in you didn't even know you had.
Well, just like you just start like alcohol is the biggest like I don't give a fuck juice ever. You know what I mean? Like it's just like and that happen. You stop giving a shit. You're like it sounds a little loud, whatever. Kicks a little loud, fucking let it ride. You know what I mean? And then next thing you know, you listen to the car the next day and you're like, I must have been drunk.
Right.
You know. However, I do feel like it works well for artists not to get too drunk, but to loosen up. I think there is something said about that. You have a couple of drinks and you feel a little bit more confident in the studio, especially trying to sell a certain image on a record and shit like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? It like feels nice to fucking, gives you a little confidence. And, you guys can get a little nervous in the booth every once in a while.
Yeah, so speaking of like vulnerabilities and like people opening up, like
look at my sweat glands.
what's something in your life that like I don't know you more than just studio life, you know? And like I would love the world to know you a little more as well as me. Yeah. Like, is there anything that like in your life that was like a switch was like, yo, I need to do something else or I will not survive this way? Or is there like a traumatic experience that you can share that's like, yo, this is changed my perspective so much, or this is why I'm the way I am, you know?
Well, there's no traumatic thing for me, thank God. I feel very blessed, by the way, that I can say that because there's awesome. There's a lot of people that really can't say that they go through really fucking tough lives, and I will say that. So you know what? So, all right. So actually, maybe you actually brought it up. Yo, when I moved to Lopes, so I grew up on the South Shore. I grew up in Marshfield, right? Like
South Side,
Marshfield, Massachusetts, right? So Marsh Vegas, right? So it's like we're fucking. It's like fucking Aerosmith lives and shit like that. And my dad was a car mechanic and shit like that growing up. Like we were middle class, nothing crazy like that, right? But when I moved to Lowell, right, and I would have all these clients, I'm getting all these clients that are from fucking Brockton, I'm getting them from Lowell, getting them from Lawrence and shit like that. And I'm meeting dudes who had fucking tough upbringings, you know what I mean? Like have had fucking shitty ass lives, you know what I mean? Some of them have terrible parents, some of them have no parents, some of them are orphans, you know what I mean? So I'm meeting these artists and these clients and like their fucking stories made me realize, like I was like, yo, I am never going to complain about my fucking parents ever again. Like never fucking one time will ever be like, fuck, like, and I will say that I see people who have good families and good parents and they blame their parents and shit. And I'm like, yo, if you're over 25 and you are blaming your parents for fucking anything, like you need to look in the fucking mirror because at the end of the day, like, you're fucking an adult. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because what's going to happen is your kid then going to blame you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think being a kid, being a parent makes you have a better appreciation for your parents. You know what I mean? And everything they sacrifice and everything. Because, yo, this shit is not easy, bro.
Right.
It is a lot of fucking work. So I will say, going back to what you said, I will say being in Lowell was a very good mindset thing where it made me appreciate, like, how truly lucky I was to have, like, great parents and all that shit like that. And then, but I will say this: it was my father that made me want to get into music. So my grandfather was a clarinet player. He used to play on like fucking cruise ships and shit like that. He used to like go around. And what happened was my grandfather when
Titanic?
he was and he played music right to the end. But going down. But no, so what happened was when he was young, he would go to the fucking bars in Brockton and play his clarinet, and he would make more money than his father was making, right? Oh, wow. And he would fucking hustle, right? So then then he ends up doing like clarinet, and then he ends up opening fucking Brady Auto Supply in Randolph, right? So then my father becomes a mechanic because his dad opens this fucking mechanic shop, right? So my father becomes this mechanic, and he's fucking miserable. Like he fucking hates his life, right? And we were like lower middle class. We didn't have like crazy amount of money. So then when my best friend, his father worked for this like investment firm, they did well for themselves and shit like that. And he was fucking miserable. And I was like, yo, the rich dude is miserable. And like, like whatever, like he retired at 40, this dude, my best friend's father. So like he was fucking miserable all the time. And then my father was fucking miserable all the time. And I said to myself, I was like, yo, I am not going to just work to be miserable because he doesn't make a lot of money. He's fucking miserable. He makes a shitload and he's miserable. I'm going to do something I at least like because at the end of the day, I fucking don't know, or, I don't want to swear so much, but I don't know if I'm going to live to see tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's just the fact, you know what I mean? And I think, sometimes we forget that we all expect ourselves to live to 75. And, unfortunately I saw with my business partner, that doesn't always happen.
Right. Very, very, very unusual times nowadays, because we're coming of an age where like
a lot of people are leaving. You know,
Yo.
like, you know, aunts, uncles, older cousins,
Yep.
and then like things that are happening to like people our age are like just going, and it's because like who the fuck knows? You know, we just don't know. Shit just happens, and it's very scary sometimes. But I appreciate you opening up and at least telling us like, you know, it's hard to hear some songs sometimes as an engineer, right? It's some like because a lot of it's true and like for instance, if you're an engineer and someone's talking about shooting people and something and you know that's what they do, it's like it's hard to hear, but it's like fuck, like it's still an expression. You're expressing yourself this way. It's like this is a very powerful thing that only we are like, you know, people like engineers listen to like really deeply because we're listening to it repeatedly and understanding like, you know, we're feeling the fucking song. And I'm like, damn, I feel this person's pain. They lost somebody or like, you know, they're going through something, and the appreciation of that starts to build and build and build. And that's why it's very fulfilling for me. I love fulfilling work. So engineering has always been a fulfilling job for me. I get to help people become what they, you know, I like to help people create what they envisioned. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, tell me, yo, there's no better feeling than when you get out of the studio and you actually like you did it. Like in terms of you listening, you're like, oh, that shit is fire. Like I don't care what nobody says, that shit is hot. Like you definitely got a couple of records
like
that.
you did you like didn't you record Lisa Left?
So the Left Eye thing, what happened was she had already passed away, and this was another thing. Big shout out to Marcus Siskin for this one. I had mentioned him earlier, but what happened was he had a record label at this point, and he ended up getting the rights to distribute her songs that weren't like, they were kind of half released. They were never like fully released. And so she had features with like Tupac. She had like all these fucking features, right? The Tupac one we could not get because his family wanted $500,000
Wow.
to put the record out. So we couldn't do that. But so what happened was we get all these records and we had to remake the instrumentals for him. So it was with the blessing of her family. So her sister, Raindrop, came up and she was like in the studio with us for a bunch of days, and we were just making records like, you know, with these old acapellas. And then what happened was we would leave open verses and we would reach out to artists. So we ended up getting records with like Chameleon Air, Bone Crusher, Missy Elliott.
That's crazy.
Missy Elliott was unreal. Because Missy Elliott, in my opinion, doesn't get her flowers enough because
I agree.
She is one of like, go back and listen to her, watch her videos.
She's
like
amazing.
She's an artist, bro, and not even that. Like, listen to how good like her writing is. You know, she doesn't just fucking rap. Her melody shit is unreal. The shit that, you know, like how many fucking writing placements did she probably get with Aaliyah? I'm not, you know, too sure to be honest with you, but I bet you there was a bunch because it was fucking her and Timbaland fucking, you know, sleeping on the fucking floor.
Songs,
yeah. So anyways, so we ended up doing
I love
records.
Missy.
We did records with her. I'm trying to think who else was that. Little Mama was on there, and Little Mama, I'm not gonna lie, fucking killed her verse. I'm trying to think who else we had on there. Can't remember who else. Ryan Toby from City High. I'm pretty sure he was on there. Yep, he was.
Oh, that's the guy from Sister Act 2?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yo, so I worked with him.
Money.
Fucking
He's nice.
unreal writer, bro. That dude was so fucking talented. And he was like, I was just a young kid, like fucking just enthralled. Like, so we did a song with him where we took, you know, Toto's Africa. You know that song? I hear the rain down in Africa.
I think so, maybe.
You really don't know that song?
You definitely heard it.
Whatever the fuck's going on back there.
You really don't know that song? Either way,
heard it.
so-
Is he a bachata singer?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Nailed it.
So there's a
Nailed it.
song, if you go online, my boy Neff produced this song and Ryan Toby wrote it with him, and we all did this at BlueAy. But what they did,
Neff
Ne-
lives in New York?
no, he lives in Maine. This is a different Neff. Honestly, this guy he taught me everything I know. Like how I can layer vocals, how I can do my melody shit is all because of this motherfucker. Like I knew nothing about music production until I worked with this kid. He was a little bit older, and that goes back to the music production when it was 5 of us. Neff was one of the members. He was a little bit older than us, but he like studied at Juilliard, originally from the Bronx and shit like that. Then he studied college.
baby.
What happened was he was in Maine, and he studied like classical fucking piano in Maine, right? And he was just up there making like unreal beats, like, and he had a couple artists and stuff. And so we had him move down to lull with us, and then like and he was the one who produced a shitload of that Left Eye shit. Like I had like 1 or 2 fucking records on there, but he has like fucking 10. Like he has like so many records on
That's
there.
so dope, man.
Just being part of that's
Oh, it
amazing.
was a really cool experience, man. Yeah, like I said, it's a long career, so there's so much fucking random shit that I've been fortunate enough to work with. Like, you know, I don't know, just a little bit. Like I fucking got to party on a boat with Omarion one time, which was a fucking good time. That was pretty funny.
Did he move like a fucking snake when you met you?
Dude, he was the man. It was him and his brother, and they were the man. They were fucking wicked good people. We had the best time. Got shit faced on a yacht. Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah, it was a good
Do you
time.
have a shirt on?
Yes. I actually have a picture of it, and I was sweating
Of
more
his shirt
than-
or? Why am I wearing
Lawrence.
Yeah, Lawrence
Oh, can you hear that in the video?
Yeah, that's my cousin.
Yeah,
definitely comes up.
that's his cousin.
When I
Oh,
first-
that's his other cousin.
When I first got here, the fucking cops were driving by.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. The cops love this blog.
It's Friday, you know.
It's Friday,
It's
man.
live.
Let's move on to the next part of the show since we're talking about Friday. Let's talk about sex, drugs, and other things. S.Dot. Shut up, Big Bliss. Yeah, this part of the show is like you tell us the truth with sex, drugs, or other things.
Okay.
Sex obviously is sex. Drugs is obviously drugs. And other things is literally like fucking random shit. But
Okay.
it doesn't have to be a story you personally went through, but if you know a cool sex story or a cool like drug situation, I mean, you know, we work in studios, we see drugs all the time.
Yeah.
You know, we could do one of those, but and you know, at your disclosure.
Drug situation. Oh, you know what? So I will say a random drug. This didn't involve me, but a friend called me today and
Allegedly.
told me this story today, so I thought it was kind of funny. So he goes to go see Deadpool today with one of his buddies.
Great movie.
Awesome.
Right? And so what happened was, so the friend he was with is on parole, so he can't smoke weed. Right?
Peter.
So and I'm not going to use any names, obviously.
His name was Peter.
Jose.
So what this kid does is he microdoses all the fucking time because it doesn't show up on the piss test. So he's
Allegedly.
always eating mushrooms, right?
Yeah.
So my buddy calls me today and he tells me, he's like, yo, we went to the movie yesterday and let's call him Peter, right? So
it's Peter.
That's Peter. And what's the other guy's name?
Javier.
Javier. All right.
Okay.
Sorry. So Javier and Peter go to a movie, right?
Yeah.
So Peter, at the very beginning of the movie, Peter pulls out a bag of mushrooms and he hands it to Javier, right? And Javier was telling me, he's like, yo, I don't want to take the mushrooms because it's going to be at like 2 o'clock. We're going to see this movie and I'm going to be tripping all day, right? So he goes, I'm in the movie. He hands me the mushrooms and just like any fucking normal person, he's like, I fucking eat the mushrooms, right? So he goes, what happened was he gave me a big bag and he goes, when I'm holding it, I had the popcorn and I dropped it in the popcorn. So all the mushrooms fell in the popcorn and it had like all the butter on it. And he goes, at some point I couldn't tell what was mushroom and what was popcorn, right? So he's like, I eat all the fucking popcorn and obviously I must have ate all the mushrooms. He's like, bro, I couldn't stop laughing in the movie. Like there were scenes like where I shouldn't have fucking been as loud as I was, but you know, like mushrooms go. Then have you guys seen Deadpool?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's
all right,
funny.
All right, so you know the part where like the girl puts the hand through the head and shit like that. So he said when that
The bald
happened,
lady.
he said when that happened, he was tripping and he did it to Wolverine. Like he got up and yelled, like, "Take your fingers out of his head!"
No way.
And he told me, he said what happened was, and he said it's like, yo, we couldn't stop laughing at certain points. And he said what happened was as soon as Peter would laugh, he's like, yo, I would just die. Like I would just fucking, he's like, and then he's like, I'm laughing at parts that are not appropriate in the movie to laugh. But I'm like, yo, Deadpool, the whole movie is appropriate. to laugh.
Yeah.
Right? By the way, I took my son to that. I don't know if that was the
took my
best
daughter.
father.
Yeah, I don't know.
Allegedly.
yeah, so
allegedly.
There was no
allegedly.
tits or dicks.
No. Well, you know what's funny? So
did
like,
take my
so the whole
son.
time, you know, like, so how old is your daughter?
11.
So my son's 9, right? So, and this was my wife's idea, mind you. My wife sends me a text like the day before school starts, like, hey, maybe, you know, Colin would love to go see Deadpool. So, like, if you want to go take him, I think he'd have a great time. And I'm like, all right, yeah, great idea, honey. Let's do this. So when I took him, so you know what's funny is, right, we're sitting in there and that fucking minivan scene happens, right? And like, that,
A lot of blood,
well,
yeah.
it seemed like real. You know what I mean? It seemed like, you know what I mean? And I'm sitting there, I'm kind of looking at him, right? And then after I talked to him, he's like, yeah, I kind of closed my eyes during that part. But then he looks at me, he's like, but Dad, I'm like, what? He's like, that was the best movie I've ever seen. And I was like, that's awesome, buddy. And then he was like, and he goes, they did swear a lot. And I go, like your mom? And he goes, yeah, a lot of F words, but she adds the S at the end all the time. I'm like, all right. Because my wife's curses like a fucking sailor. She was born in Lynn, so, you know what you say. She's gonna hate. She's gonna fucking hate that I say that because she was born in Lynn, but she didn't grow up in Lynn. Yeah. But I love to just say it. I think it's just funny.
She from Lynn.
That's the way the guy behind the wall is. He gets upset when we say he was born he's born in Mexico, but he was raised in New Mexico. So he says like, I'm new, I'm different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pollitos.
I told my son that he was that I rescued him from a gang of turkeys, and so I like to fuck with my kids a lot, right? So I told my son, right, and he knew I was fucking with him, right? Like he knew he wasn't serious, right? But this is what happened, right? So I keep telling him, I'm like, yeah, bro, I rescued you from turkeys. It was the Turkey Hill gang, right? And like I went up there, and like I had to go up there, and you were just like a little baby, and there was all these turkeys around you and stuff, and I was like. I was like, you didn't even speak. He was like, "Bah," like, you know, he's like, oh no, what turkey, you know, like, so whatever. So I'm telling my son this, and obviously he knows I'm fucking with him, right? So his mother takes him to Hershey Park, right? What do I know? I get a fucking text. They drove by the Turkey Hill ice cream place because that's where it originated, is in like right near Hershey Park, whatever. And my son, I guess he's driving. He's like, holy shit, there is a Turkey Hill gang. Like he just totally at that point he came full circle. It was like Turkey Hill gang. And then when he got home, he couldn't wait to tell me. Yeah, there was a Turkey Hill. I told you.
I wasn't lying.
I go, I know it sounds crazy. He's like,
kids,
use that voice. You know, there's like that dad voice you use when you're fucking with your kids, where they know no matter what you say, like you're not being serious.
Now my kid doesn't. I don't have that voice. It's the same voice. So I'm always fucking with.
So your kid is constantly confused, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I'll be like, wake up, the house is on fire. And she'll be like, then why are you still in your underwear? I'm like, oh. Like, why don't you have pants on right now? Like, you were sleeping, nigga. Shut up.
That the best thing about having kids is playing with the shit that you feel like you're too old to play with if you didn't have kids. Like the other day, so we have a Nerf guns, like crazy. So the other day, my daughter was gone, but I hand one to my wife, hand one to my son, and then I was like, I give him a countdown, like fucking 30 seconds. Everybody be ready for war type of thing. So we all fucking run and we get bullets and shit like that. So I got this little, in my bathroom, we have a cat, right? And so we have this little cat door that we got that's like, it looks like the shape of a cat. Like got his ears and shit like that. So I close the door, lock it, fucking put the gun right outside the little cat fucking thing and start shooting everybody. They lit me up. I'm not gonna lie. They just kept shooting it, and they just kept hitting my hand. We had a rule: if you got hit twice, you were out. But that's the one thing I love about having kids is like playing those.
Yeah, you could be like. Yeah. I've been working with kids my whole life, so I still work with kids, and I think a big reason why I do is because like I get to stoop down to like their level, you know what I mean, and be a kid with them, you know what I mean. Like, I get to ask them funny questions, and I get to be silly, and they're not judging me like, oh, this thing is too old. It's more like, hey, it's this guy, you know, like you know what I mean. So 100%. I love that shit, man. I love kids too. We're about to end it, and is there anything you want to share with the world, or be peaceful and
well, can I do like a little sales pitch right here?
Whatever you want, brother.
No. So the one thing I will a shout out. Actually, a big shout out to all my clients and everything. Big shout out to all the other engineers, all the fucking producers in this world. Yes, this year I'm actually closing Surefire Studios, and I will be working exclusively with John Glass out of Nowhere Studios.
Nice.
So
Nowhere Studios.
Yes, big shout out to John Glass for reaching out to me on that. That's my bro. Obviously I've known him for a long time. And besides that, like the one motto I have, this is what I tell my kids all the fucking time, is never give up. I'm really trying to live by that philosophy, and I really think everyone should live by that, because at the end of the day, right, like we are all going to fucking die one day. You know what I mean? So if you have a dream, never give up on it, because at the end of the day, even that pursuit of that dream is something to get up and do. You know what I mean? And like, man, I'll be honest with you, I love what you guys are doing here.
Thank you.
Like, man. I'm a huge fan of what you guys are doing. I think you're fucking natural shit. Me and Christian Cartier actually had the conversation of that recently. But like, Garcia Vega. But big, on some real shit, because I think you're fucking very natural at this. I think you do a great job at this, and you guys as a team are doing well. Like, fuck. Over there, he fucking reached out to me forever ago, like, yo, let's set up the date, you know what I mean? Like, and like what I have to say is like teamwork makes the fucking dream work.
Right,
You know what I mean? And at the like you win as a team, and sometimes there are people like for a lot of I know it's rambling, but for a long time Jared was like the almost like the representative of our company. You know what I mean? And then if you got to know the company more, you knew the different parts of it. You know what I mean? And I know in a lot of ways that can happen with you guys as well, in terms of like you'll have like the point person, which let's be real, because you're the face, you're out here all the time. You know what I mean? But we got to remember, there's fucking right now in this room, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 people invested that are not on the fucking screen. You know, and people need to remember that. For every fucking 2 people that are on screen, there are 6 back there doing fucking work. You know, and so I actually love this type of shit. And and that's why in my studio, right, with Surefire, real quick, my last thing is I gave that space over to Tange to I don't know if you know Tange.
Yeah,
video
shout out
director.
Change, man. Shout out Change.
So now it's So Ripe Studios,
Ripe
right?
Studios, yeah.
But my thing about that is that
we just had Mark on, and he was over there doing.
Mark Pomo.
Castle.
Oh yeah, that's yes, I'm over there too. Yo, so anyways, the one thing I gotta say is like it's important that we do pay this shit forward, because especially in this area we cannot be selfish. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like there's plenty of artists to work with all these producers. There's plenty of artists to go out of the studios. We do not need to be stabbing each other in the back over stupid shit. You have to pay it forward, and I truly believe in karma too. You know what I mean?
Look at this. I want to tell you something before you
sure.
finish.
Okay.
I just want to show you that the last thing on my thing. Look what it says. This is my list of questions I've asked you. Look at my last thing.
Fucking karma, mother.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, because and I'll let my bad. I know I'm real. I'll let you.
That's
but,
ill.
But
go ahead.
But I'm a huge thing on karma. You know what I mean? And I will say that there were people that helped me get to where I am in my career. Like I have to say, that dude Neff, he taught me fucking everything. You know, when we were first starting, it was, Jared was a fucking huge inspiration, because it's like everyone's just got to know their role sometimes and just play the role and understand that we're all working for a common goal. You know what I mean? Because I think overall, going back to the karma thing, I think it's important to pay it forward. I think overall, and at the end of the day, like even if it doesn't come back to you necessarily the way you want it to, you still feel good about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like I think all of us, like we know as creatives, is that like we should all be helping the next generation, because at the end of the day, this industry is fucking like, we fucking work hard, bro. Like people don't understand. Like the amount of time we put to get to this point is unreal. The amount of money that I just see right here, the amount of time people are putting in. So either way,
well, we're Hispanic. All of this shit you see is stolen.
Dope.
For now.
I thought I recognized the sleigh.
Yeah, that's yours. That's yours. I'm gonna bring it back.
Oh no, yeah.
Oh, you're closing.
We borrowed it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Steal away.
Yo, world, I love you. Night, anything you want to tell people?
No, thank you for coming.
No, appreciate
everything.
you guys.
You're great. You're amazing. You're fucking.
Thank you.
Inspire a lot of people.
Yo, I would love to come back. I got
sure.
so many fucking
Yeah,
more
we'll come back in
stories.
tank tops next time.
For sure.
Well, I would like to come back in the winter.
Yeah,
definitely.
That would
Next
be
week,
fucking,
next week.
In a couple weeks.
You ain't lying. Well, you ain't lying, bro. This is random. All
Men
right.
behind the wall. Anything you want to say?
Dope.
Okay, so Dracula walks into a bar,
Yep.
right? He goes to the bartender. The bartender tells him, "What do you want to drink tonight? You want a Bloody Mary?" He says, "No, I don't want a Bloody Mary. I want a glass of water." The bartender goes, "A glass of water?" He's like, "Yeah, I want
Did
a
your
glass
voice
of water."
just change?
Yeah.
Yeah. Word.
Gets a glass of water. Pulls out a tampon and dips it in there.
Oh,
I just wanted
jeez.
some tea.
Okay.
That's gross.
That shit was.
Was the tampon
Yo,
used?
that's
You gotta say that part of the joke, otherwise I don't get it.
that's white humor.
Yeah,
Right
it
there.
was very.
Us white people appreciate
The
humor.
guys behind the wall are actually both white, so we're just
Yeah.
New Mexico. Anyways, I love you
Yes.
guys. Peace, world. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having. Peace.
Hello, everybody.